Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off your hot and cold water supplies. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the GE washer lid switch assembly. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new lid switch assembly. The lid switch assembly is a safety device that tells the washer if the lid is open or closed. The main reason to be changing it out is if the switch has failed and the washer won't go into the spin cycle. In order to get to the part, we have to take the washer apart. First thing we're going to do is use our Torque 20 driver to remove the 4 screws across the back of the console. Once you have the 4 screws out, we're just going to lift this console out and disconnect it from the top down here so we can take that out later. Now we can take the front panel off the machine. We're going to use a putty knife to release the 2 clips that hold it in. They're about 4 inches in from the corner and pretty much in line with the lid seam right here. All you have to do is come in from the side and hit it, and then move over a little bit and press it in and release it, and then pull the panel out. Once you have this side out, you can hold it and do the other side. Once you have the clips released, you can lift the front panel off and set it aside. With the front panel out of the way, we can remove these 2 1/4-inch screws that hold the top to the cabinet. Before we take the top off, we're going to open up the console and disconnect the wire harness for the lid switch. All you have to do is press on the connectors to release it and separate the 2 ends. Once you have it separated, you can lay the console back in place and we can take the top off. You want to pull it forward a little bit so it releases from the tabs, and then lift up and angle it out and lift it off the machine. We're going to set the top back on top of the washer to change to the lid switch. You can put it on a counter if you want, but just make sure you put a towel down so you don't scratch anything. Once you have the towel down, we can set the lid up there so we have access to the lid switch. Before we take the lid switch off, we have to disconnect this wire harness right here. So we're going to carefully lift up the top and hold it up, and then we can take a small pliers and release this wire harness clip so we can push it through the hole and pull it out the back side. Once you have it released, you can set the top back down. In order to get the lid switch assembly off the top, we're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to remove this screw, and then we can use a flathead screwdriver to remove the 2 clips. The 2 clips are on this end, and they clip into the magnet that's underneath. Once you have the clips released, you can lift this side up a little bit and then pull it off the top of the washer. Here's the old lid switch assembly next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. In order to put the new lid switch assembly in, we're going to line it up with the screw opening and snap it down into place. If it won't snap into place, you can lift up the top and separate the lid a little bit, and then put your hand underneath there so you can hold up that bracket and snap it together. Once you have it snapped in, we can use our Phillips screwdriver and put the screw back in. Once you have the lid switch assembly mounted, we can route the wire harness up and put this clip in to hold it in place. In order to lift up the top and turn it over, you want to make sure you grab right here. So you grab the top and the lid all together in one piece, and then we can lift it off, get the towel out of there. To make it easier to put the top on, we're going to lift the console up and set it onto the back plate. Once you have it up, we can put the top on. When you're putting the top on, you want to make sure that this tab lines up with this opening right here, and this tab lines up with this one. Once you have those in, then you can push it back and lock it in. Before we put the console down, we're going to reconnect the lid switch wire harness. All you have to do is grab the two sides and plug them together. They can only go one way, but make sure you push them in and get a good connection. Then we can lift the console down, and you want to make sure that the 3 tabs go into the openings on the top. Now we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put the screws in that hold the top to the cabinet. Once you have those in, we can put the front panel back on. To put the front panel back on, we're going to set the bottom onto the 2 support brackets and then lift it up and line up the 4 pins so we can snap the front panel on. Once you have the front panel back in, we can use the Torque 20 screwdriver to put the screws into the console. Now that we have the washer put back together, we can plug it back in, turn the water back on, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.